I didn't even know what a shadow person was until I Googled it years later. But what I saw that night, I'll never forget. It was 2006. I was 12, in middle school, living with my mom in a small, two-bedroom apartment in Kansas. The building was one of those low-income housing complexes, long beige brick with peeling paint, linoleum floors, and paper-thin walls. We didn't have much, but it was ours. Just me and my mom. Our apartment had this long, narrow hallway that connected the living room to the bedrooms in the back. My room was at the very end. My mom's was closer to the front, near the kitchen. That hallway, it always felt a little off to me, even during the day. The light from the single ceiling bulb didn't quite reach the far end where my door was. Shadows pooled in the corners, especially near the baseboards. But at night, that hallway turned into something else entirely. One night, around 2 a.m., I woke up with my mouth dry and sticky. I remember it clearly because I had gone to bed right after crying myself to sleep. I was dealing with some bullying at school, and I didn't want to worry my mom, so I kept it to myself. That night, my chest felt heavy, like I was trying to breathe underwater. So I got out of bed to get some water. The apartment was completely still, no sounds from outside, no hum from the fridge, just the creak of my bedroom door as I pushed it open. That's when I saw it. A figure. At the far end of the hallway. Just standing there. Still. Silent. At first, I thought it was my mom. She sometimes got up in the night to use the bathroom or check the front door. But as my eyes adjusted, I realized it wasn't her. This figure was too tall. Way too tall. My mom was maybe 5 feet 5 inches, and this thing nearly reached the ceiling. It wasn't hunched or slouched. It stood completely straight, like it was carved from the shadows themselves. Worse, it wasn't solid. It looked like a person-shaped hole in reality. A silhouette cut from smoke, darker than the darkness around it. It didn't have a face. No eyes. No features at all. Just the vague impression of a head, shoulders, and arms. It looked almost like a man, but there was something unnatural about the proportions. The limbs were just a little too long. The head tilted at an unnatural angle. I blinked, hoping it was some kind of hallucination. But it didn't go away. It just stood there. Watching me. Even though it didn't have eyes, I felt it staring at me. The kind of stare that makes your skin itch, that makes your instincts scream even when your brain can't explain why. I backed into my room slowly and closed the door. I didn't slam it. I was afraid if I made a sound, it would come toward me. I just pressed the door shut, gently but firmly, and leaned against it. My heart was hammering so hard it hurt. I didn't move for what felt like hours, but it must have only been minutes. When I finally opened the door again, just a crack, the hallway was empty. No trace of it. No sound. No movement. Just stillness. I should have run to my mom. I should have told her. But I didn't. I was too scared she'd think I was imagining things. Or worse, what if I wasn't imagining it? I climbed back into bed, pulled the covers up to my chin, and stayed perfectly still. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. But that wasn't the last time I saw it. Over the next few weeks, it started showing up more often. Always late at night. Always silent. Sometimes it was in the hallway again, like before, just standing, facing my room. But sometimes, it was closer. I woke up once to find it in the corner of my bedroom. The far right corner, where my old toy chest used to sit. It didn't move. It didn't make a sound. It just stood there. watching. Another time, I felt something at the foot of my bed. I opened my eyes, and there it was. Towering, hunched just slightly to fit under the ceiling, its faceless head angled down toward me. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I don't even know how long I stared at it before I blacked out. When I told myself it might just be sleep paralysis, I tried to believe it. But deep down, I knew better. I was awake. I was always awake. I never felt groggy, never disoriented, just terrified. Every single time. After about a month of this, I started sleeping with the lights on. Not just a night light, every light. I'd turn on the lamp, the hallway light, even the TV. I couldn't explain it to my mom. I didn't know how. And then, one night, it escalated. I had gone to bed late. My mom was out working a double shift at the hospital, and I was alone. I fell asleep on the couch with the TV on, wrapped in a blanket, comforted by the background noise of some old sitcom. Sometime past midnight, I woke up with this horrible feeling. Like something was inches from my face. The TV was off. The apartment was silent. Pitch black. I sat up slowly, heart already pounding, and there it was. Not across the room. Not in the hallway. But standing right in front of me. I couldn't even breathe. It was like every atom in the room had frozen. The thing leaned in. Not fast. Not slow. Just a subtle forward motion, like it was inspecting me. If it had a face, I would have felt its breath. That's when I ran. I bolted off the couch, flipped the living room light on, and spun around, but it was gone. I didn't sleep again that night. I stayed in the brightly lit living room until morning, wrapped in that blanket like armor. The next day, I finally told my mom. She didn't laugh. She didn't brush me off. Instead, she looked pale. Quiet. Her eyes avoided mine. I used to see something too, she said after a long pause. When I was younger. Right after your grandma passed. It always stayed in the hallway. She never said more than that. But she bought a nightlight for every room. She even started sleeping with the door open, something she'd never done before. Eventually, the visits stopped. Not all at once, just less and less frequently. Like whatever it was had lost interest, or found someone else. I never saw it again after we moved a year later. But I never forgot it either. Years later, when I was in college, I was scrolling through a paranormal thread on Reddit when someone mentioned shadow people. I clicked out of curiosity. And I froze. The descriptions matched perfectly. The tall, faceless silhouette. The silent presence. The feeling of being watched. Some people claimed they were demons. Others said they were interdimensional beings. Some even said they were just figments of sleep paralysis. But I know what I saw. I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't hallucinating. The thing in the hallway was real. And sometimes, I still wonder if it's out there. Watching someone else. Waiting. People online call him the Hat Man. I didn't know that at the time. When I was a kid, I used to call him the Tall Man. He wasn't part of a nightmare. He was the nightmare. The first time I saw him, I was 8 years old. We'd just moved into a new house. It was smaller than our last one, older too, with creaky floors and a strange, damp smell in the basement. My parents were fighting more than usual back then, and I'd started having bad dreams, monsters, fires, things I couldn't explain. But none of those scared me like what I saw that night. I had woken up from one of those dreams and was lying in bed staring at the ceiling. It was dark, but not pitch black. There was a night light in the hallway that spilled just enough light under my door to keep me company. I remember watching the shadows dance on the ceiling, trying to calm myself down, when I noticed something strange in the corner of my room. It was a shape. A man-shaped shadow. It didn't move. It just stood there, tall, still, almost like it was part of the wall itself. But the thing that chilled me to my core, even at that age, was the hat. A wide-brimmed, old-fashioned hat that cast a deeper shadow where a face should be. I couldn't see any eyes, any mouth. Just darkness beneath that brim. For a second, I thought it might be my dad. He sometimes checked on me at night, especially when I'd had nightmares. But when I sat up and turned on the lamp beside my bed, the shadow didn't disappear. It was still there. Perfectly outlined, as if the light had no power over it. I froze. The hair on my arms stood up. My chest tightened. I didn't speak. I couldn't. Then it moved. Not toward me, but across the room. It didn't walk. It glided, soundlessly, like smoke drawn toward a crack in the wall. And then, it was gone. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I buried myself under the covers, every inch of me trembling. When I told my mom the next morning, she said I probably had another nightmare. My dad said maybe it was just the shadows playing tricks. But I knew better. That wasn't a trick. It was something real. And it wasn't the last time I saw him. The second time came when I was 10. I had the flu, burning up with a fever so high I was delirious. I was in and out of sleep, sweating through my sheets, my throat on fire. At some point during the night, I opened my eyes and saw him again. The tall man. Standing in the corner of my room, hat and all. Only this time, he was closer. Still silent. Still unmoving. But I could feel him now, his presence. Cold and heavy, like the air had been sucked out of the room. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. My skin prickled with ice despite the fever. I closed my eyes tight, willing him away, praying for the fever to take me somewhere else. When I opened them again, he was gone. I was sick for days, and every night I feared I'd see him again. But he didn't return that week. Not then. I tried to convince myself he was just a fever dream. But deep down, I knew the truth. He only comes when you're vulnerable. The third time, I was 13. My parents were separated by then, and I spent most of my time alone. That particular night, there was a storm, thunder rattled the windows, lightning lit up the walls like camera flashes. I was home alone, sitting on the living room couch, wrapped in a blanket and pretending not to be scared. When the power went out, I panicked. I grabbed a flashlight and ran to my room, hoping the battery-powered radio would work. It didn't. I sat on my bed in silence, listening to the storm and the creaking of the house. And then, I saw movement. There, just outside my bedroom door. A silhouette. Tall. Wide-brimmed hat. I didn't even blink this time. I just stared. He didn't move into the room, but he stood in the doorway like he was waiting. Waiting for me to break. To cry. To panic. I turned the flashlight toward him, but the light did nothing. It passed through him, like he was made of mist and shadow. When lightning flashed again, he was gone. I didn't sleep for days after that. I started sleeping with every light on. But it didn't help. He always came during moments of fear or weakness. Years passed. He didn't show up every night, only sometimes. Randomly. Always during the darkest times. Like he could smell pain. Like he fed on it. I started reading online forums about strange encounters. That's when I found the name, the Hat Man. Dozens, no, hundreds, of stories. People from different states, different countries, all describing the same thing. A tall man in a shadowy coat and wide-brimmed hat. Appearing at night. Watching. Waiting. Some said he was a demon. Some said he was death itself. Some said he was a traveler between worlds who fed on trauma, despair, fear. But no one knew for sure. And all of them, said the same thing. He always got closer. The last time I saw him, I was 16. I had just lost my best friend in a car accident. We'd known each other since kindergarten. He was like a brother to me. His death shattered something inside me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just lay in bed, numb, staring at the ceiling. My heart felt like it had been carved out with a dull knife. I didn't cry. I couldn't. It was like the sadness was too deep for tears. Around 3 a.m., the room got cold. I mean truly cold. Like the air itself had stopped moving. And I knew. I didn't even have to look. But I did. He was there. The Hat Man. Standing at the foot of my bed. Not in the corner. Not at the door. At the foot of my bed. I sat up slowly. My breath caught in my throat. He didn't move. He didn't need to. His presence filled the room. He brought with him a weight, a stillness that pressed down on my chest like a boulder. I felt him in my bones. In my thoughts. And I realized something. He wasn't just watching me. He was feeding. Feeding on the grief. On the emptiness. On me. The longer I stared at him, the weaker I felt. Like something inside me was draining out with every second that passed. I didn't run. I didn't scream. I whispered, "Please leave me alone." And for the first time, I saw him move. His head tilted, just slightly. Then he turned. And vanished. That was the last time I saw him. It's been years. But even now, when life gets hard, when I'm alone, grieving, or scared, I feel that cold sensation. That weight in the air. And I wonder, is he still watching? Waiting? Because I don't think the Hat Man ever really leaves. He just waits for when we're broken. Lock the door, lights out. One night, I woke up to the sound of breathing. Heavy, labored. I sat up and looked around, thinking maybe one of my roommates had come in. But the door was still locked. The room was pitch black. Then I say this story still messes with my head. In college, I lived in a crappy off-campus house with 2 roommates. Rent was cheap, but the place always felt off, like something was watching from the corners. My room was upstairs, and every night I had the same routine: brush my teeth, it. Something standing near my dresser. Not moving. Just standing. It looked like a person, but wrong. Its edges weren't solid. It was like the silhouette of a man made from static. I turned on my phone flashlight, and it vanished. Gone. But that wasn't the worst part. The next morning, one of my roommates, Ben, asked if I had company over. I said no. He looked pale. He said, I swear I saw someone standing in your window last night. Like, staring out. My room is on the second floor. No balcony. No ledge. A few days later, I saw it again. Closer this time. Standing by the door. I didn't sleep that night. Eventually, I moved out. I couldn't take it anymore. When I came back a year later to visit one of my old roommates, the guy who had taken my room said, "Hey, did you ever see that thing? That person in the room?" I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. He just nodded and whispered, "He's still there." Some people believe shadow figures are ghosts. Others think they're demons. Or echoes from another dimension. But those of us who've seen them, we know better. They don't just appear. They choose. So the next time you catch movement from the corner of your eye, don't look too long. Because if it's one of them, they might just look back. Subscribe to Midnight Whispers for more horror stories. And remember, some shadows don't belong to anything living.